to sing with me. Just start opening up the throat. And we won't go anywhere. We'll just stay in our throat and our heart area for now, just comfortably. So just keep singing. I'm going to just do a quick clearing in our collective crown, third eye chakra. Nicole, if you want to hop in with me on this, just want to create a clear connection between our soul star and our collective field. There's just a little bit of whatever it is here. Clearing this crystalline clarity into our crowns, soul star, third eye. Through into our throat. Might help if you just tone and open up that space like One thing that you can pay attention to is how the sound almost is a spinning ball of energy in our throat, wherever that sound is, wherever we're focusing it on. So say it's just in our throat and we're spinning this tightly wound, bright light ball, and it can actually kind of spin threads of light in all directions. Now we're directing that energy, just kind of like a little neutrino explosion of light that blasts out anything that might be in our head area. Is Sarah in here? She's not here. Colleen says she just vomited out of nowhere. It's okay. It happens. We're sending you so much love. Thank you for processing that energy in the biological body for all of us. We're supporting you. We're sending you so much love. Yeah, so it's pretty potent collective work we're doing together to open up, this many original connectors into the original template and the creation. It's quite massive. I don't know if anyone has anything to share about that, like what you're perceiving, just like on a collective level that's happening. Keep going. Yeah, and let us know how you're doing, Colleen. Yep. All right. Megan says, I'm feeling Lemurian underwater pyramids and crystalline waters and dolphins and whales coming in and supporting our field. Yummy.
G?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. I had a little something to share on what you're talking about. In terms of my own personal experience, um, it's really what you and Siobhan were talking about in terms of the shutting down of the sacral and how it ties in to our sexuality. And I've been struggling. I've been working on a book my whole life, really. And spirit, there have been times I've tried to give up because it seems like it's going nowhere. And spirit's been like, no, this is your mission. And so this whole thing what you're talking about has come up recently. Like a few years ago, I lost a bunch of weight, and I was 53. I was sexier than I was when I was 20, and it's no joke. People, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the attention because I'm highly empathic, and the change in people based on my external appearance, and then the challenges like younger women, everybody was in my face. It was so weird, and that whole weight thing. I've always said that weight always has something to do with protection, and it just was easier. My body had changed, so I gained weight back, but it doesn't look the same. I've always been very active, but I'm struggling. This workshop and this work we're doing is very helpful, but it's amazing because it's like it shut me down really just in these last few years. Before that, I was like pretty much doing what I wanted to do, like ignoring what people had to say about it. But these last few years, it's like I was challenged on every level. Everybody, everything, every system, family, everything was like challenging this in me. And I'm really struggling to stand in that balance again. It's like my divine masculine came up and took over to protect my divine feminine. I felt so in danger, and I'm protected, so I was physically safe, but I literally have people like coming for me in ways that just didn't make sense. Like I would just show up, and the people were triggered. And so, yeah, I'm just really, asking you guys because even acclimating to this space, acclimating to this love, acclimating to this work we're doing together, remembering how we live. I remember where I was before I came here. Remember what's possible, and so adjusting to this has been like lifelong. It really just hit in these last few years, and so now just even acclimating to this beautiful space, you beautiful, powerful souls, kindred souls, just even allowing that in is work because I put so much effort into building up the walls to protect myself. Like forever, it took me to do. Like kept trying. I was like, no, I was relentless, and then it like got me. And so yeah, I'm just sharing because it really is important um, when these things come up to really deal with them and not run away. Because I really ran away from those feelings I had when I lost the weight to this place where I have nowhere else to run. It's just really important to deal with them when they come up, and especially since we have this beautiful space to really, indulge it, to really engage this opportunity because it gets worse. Like those grooves in the neural pathways really do get deeper and it gets harder and harder. Don't put it off. And so, yeah, just asking for a little love and just then this clearing, it's happening. But it's just these last couple of days have been really hard. My family, it's like everything is from the past is just right there. It's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to choose yourself this time? And it's just, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. I love you so much.
I feel like someone else wants to say something. Please feel welcome to unmute yourself. Esther?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, so Katrina, it was. I love you, sister. So thank you for sharing your story. Um, as I'm listening to you and then connect with my heart, first of all, we all so relate to every woman, so relate to your story, and also it came to my heart again, and then also more than any time in our world, our time on earth, remind ourselves. I do every day also remind myself is nothing is really personal actually. Like your story, like everybody on you when you became like lost weight and then beautiful. I think that our whole this experience we going through seemingly personal, but like I think before G also mentioned something w- like especially empath, and then we are highly very sensitive, and then um, embodying like energy from surrounding, and then massive collectives. So whenever we feel those personal attacks or like people are on us, I think it's very important to remind us we are experiencing in this personal body is a collective. How many women throughout the history and even now today still every corner of a world experiencing those negative energies or viruses or like programs is still going on. And so we are in our personal body, really embodying, and then what we have to, that's why I do, is like that moment right now. Yeah, until yesterday, how many decades we experienced now with our awareness, what we can start doing right now is really differentiate. There's a nothing personal thing. It's not me personal experience. I am just embodying this collective. So what I can do is my response, victimizing myself, and then also judging myself or judging even others. From there, this moment, today, now we can shift and understand it. And then, so that's why our really, this is a huge job. Shift and then heal it that moment. Like now, Jesus is leading. The healing is we ourselves understand that, and then ourselves stop being reacting and let those energies and experience get into us, instead of that really consciously from our heart how important it is right now today. I change my, then like the moment raise our head and just really be truly who we are, embodying the powers and the beauties. And so don't react to what others um doing. Yeah, I'm also now working at the here healthy store. My whole life, pretty much, I also just like really hide from like whole my life. I was tomboy, so I wanted to like be a woman and attractive, but at the same time, I was scared and then so hated these older men or like people with this weird energy approaching me and they're attracted to me. Then so I was like turning to more tomboy, but at the same time like opposite. I'm just like wanna be beautiful, but at the same time scared. If I'm beautiful, then like all these people I don't want like keep coming to me. But now at the market, I came back to this working at the natural store and dealing with all ages, all different interests, maybe like guys and then women, and then like all they just like I also feel approaching me with their own interests. But now I'm finally really consciously every moment changing. Really, what I'm holding is it doesn't matter what their intention it is. I'll be just who I am as a beautiful being, powerful woman, and then really just stand like a firm in my that sovereign heart place and love. And then I really feel every time I pull that conscious choice, and I really realize this is how we really even healing and shifting, even these people approaching with their own interests, they somehow get affected by our that very sovereign, our presence, and we can heal ourselves, and that is also healing all collective women experience. So blessing to you, to everyone, to myself, every day, just a one the moment, one breathe, the one heart place at a place at a time. Um, we are shifting. So thank you so much.
I would like to share a few words. Is it coming through clearly? Okay. So my experience with this session and really with this, greater experience together, I am through the sound and through the transmission that is allowing for this body to anchor in higher vibrational frequencies that are more than I've ever experienced in this incarnation. And so just allowing that process to happen, to surrender to that process, knowing that I am held and I am supported. And I love myself so much in the non-physical and in the physical that I have aligned everything and allowed everything to be taken care of. And to just really rest in that knowing and allowing the frequencies to flow through. As we've been playing with our voices, there's this energy of the priestess that wants to fully embody. And you mentioned Tantra, and there's a part of me that resists this deeper knowing and this curiosity of what were we doing in the temples? Like, how did we facilitate the healings? How did we channel our divine sensual sexual energy in a way that helped to reconfigure consciousness for the highest of humanity, for the highest of our communities? And so it's really just anchoring in this knowing and this trust that everything is here to support us, and we're able to open through sound, able to open through the vibration of our voice, and able to fully embody the priestess, the goddess that we are, and allow that vibration to express through us, to transmit through us to everyone we encounter. It's a ripple. It's like as we embody it, it just ripples out. So I'm just in the process of allowing myself to expand more fully. It's like my nervous system are strings of a chord, like strings of a violin, and they're vibrating so much that it's like it's a space of unknown, a space of unknown yet deep remembrance. So that's what I wanted to share, my experience. Thank you.
So beautiful. I think I want to read you a story. Okay, so when Esther was talking, it reminded me of actually how that interaction on the driveway ended you know, when those construction workers across the street, they looked at me and they smiled. And my first reaction, and maybe this is actually my human design where I'm a manifester and I have a repelling aura, the first thought that left my telepathic mind was, I dare you to come into my aura. And it was almost like this algorithm just like shot across the street and was like, you know, if they were like anchored in their whatever divine presence, they would be able to enter, and otherwise they would probably run away. Because been exploring this energy with Nicole, actually, that like when we think about it, every single man was once inside of a womb of a woman. Every single one. And the Brian has a collection of funny things I say sometimes when I'm like purging. And this one says, every man comes into this world eating pussy. So the reason why I say that is that, you know, the reason why we do that is that we get all this nourishment and immunity from the mucus of the vaginal wall as birth is happening, is this really deeply profound, nurturing, loving, giving thing. And, you know, if we could all just remember that, that would be great. So in response to what Rabia was saying, I would actually like to just read an excerpt from my book about my experience in Bolivia when I actually, you know, went to one of these ruins and jumped back in time and experienced what was happening then. Because I think that is going to help us process some energy as well, because then I also saw the fall of those temples. And I feel like that's going to lead into a good collective sing-song healing session. So I'm gonna grab that, be right back. Esther says the whole sky is singing. It's a pleasant sound. Me too, Carly. Okay, so Titicaca, Tiwanaku, and ancient creation magic. Living high up in the Andean mountains of Peru was a dream of mine. Ever since connecting with ayahuasca, I have wanted to visit her home, With December rolling in quickly along with the snow and the disappearance of the sun, I made an effortless decision to rent a small house up the mountain in Cuaya, Peru for a few months to bypass the winter. Filled to the brim with idealism, we journeyed to Peru, Jupiter in tow. Arriving in the mountains was nothing short of magic. The expansive aliveness of the mountain swallowed me whole in awe of the majesty of this beautiful planet we inhabit. My childlike idealism didn't last long before I began to notice the devastation of colonialism in the local cultures. As much as I'd love to go to parties and sound healing ceremonies in the ayahuasca town of Pisac, I could never really jive with the frequency of people there because I felt like there was something unspoken. I didn't know how to bypass the difficult feelings of anger and disgust with what had happened here. The missionary church stood tall and proud in the center of the town. And when the pastor passed by, everyone lowered their heads to say, "Hello, Father." I didn't find anything to celebrate about this. Posters on the cafe walls advertised ayahuasca and other indigenous plant medicine ceremonies to tourists. Travelers from all over the world came here to find some sort of spiritual growth, yet are deceived by money-motivated locals who felt they deserved to sell fake medicine to foreigners for what they'd done to their culture. All a very dangerous mess. Sometime after living in our mountain adobe home, a very sick man was invited to visit us by my landlady, who was a local healer. When the super sickly, skinny Caucasian man arrived at our house with visible ulcerations and a pale face, I was deeply concerned for his life. He shared with us stories of his treks into the jungle to study with men who claimed to be medicine men, but turned out to be sorcerers who cursed him with Andean magic just for being white. They were angry with the white people who had conquered their land, and they were taking it out on ignorant spiritual seekers who didn't know any better. Needless to say, the idealism with which I arrived in the sacred country dissipated rather quickly, and my heart ached with the land, which ached for the love of its people. About a month into my stay, I met a woman named Lisa, who's part of our group. When we first met, we were with a group of women my landlord introduced me to. She dragged me to this quote-unquote goddess full moon meeting, fully knowing that I'm gravely allergic to superficial spirituality embedded within colonized consciousness. I couldn't stand to be hanging out with supermodel goddesses with lots of money from their false matrix successes who spend it buying culture spirituality, which their ancestors destroyed. Yet when I saw Lisa, I realized that she's the reason I had come to this boring gathering, barely surviving the sharp knives of subconscious competitiveness and passive aggression. I saw her giggling like a little girl. Ah yes, a spark of life inside of her. I bumped into her again a week later at the market, where she was ecstatic to see me. She claimed, "I've been thinking about you for a week. I feel like we're being called to Bolivia to visit Lake Titicaca and the ruins there. When I think about this, I kept seeing you, and I feel like we're supposed to go there together." I didn't have to think twice about this, and immediately responded, "Yes, I've been thinking of going there as well, and I would love to go there with you." I gave Lisa plenty of preparatory notifications that traveling with me is both exciting and unpredictable. I told her that since I've been listening and walking closely with the earth and spirit for many years, we make sudden twists and turns together without obvious indications. At this point, the telepathic guidance system was strong and robust, and as a splenic manifester in my human design system, my now moment decision-making authority, the spleen, was fine-tuned. I told her that we were likely to not be on a tourist romp around the ancient ruins, but in actuality on a good work mission. The first stop we made was at Lake Titicaca in the Bolivia-Peru border city called Copacabana. We were recommended a particular hostel which had incredible clay architecture created by a sculptor from Germany. The houses were all shaped into spiraling seashells and other beautiful structures. Sitting inside this spiral seashell house, windows overlooking the immaculate sunset moving across Lake Titicaca, was one of the most serene and beautiful moments of my entire life. The water lit up a mystical pink and purple, matching the sky, as portals spun gracefully into the underwater worlds of the inner lake. I heard that this lake is akin to the womb of the world, both from the native storytellers and the studies of geomancy, which often refer to Lake Titicaca as the sacral chakra of the world. The indigenous told tales of this lake being the center of the world, where all of life began. This made sense as the sacral chakra is the womb. I felt that perhaps all souls, creations, and timelines enter and are gestated here in this powerful center of the world. Gestation takes place here, and many starseeds incarnate through this portal and leave pieces of themselves here to be retrieved at a later time upon awakening. I felt the specialness of this lake as I embraced her, feeling as if we were at the center of the universe. This led me into countless hours of contemplation about the state of the world and our creativity, the state of humanity's sacral chakra, the degradation and enslavement we have experienced, and how this could be reflected in the macrocosmic scale of the living planet. My galactics informed me that this indeed is a continuation of the work we were doing in Vermont. We're weaving a timeline technology through the lake to activate its power to support light workers to jump planetary realities. They showed me this in the form of Mandela effects. They showed me that when light workers fully awaken to our power as creator beings and work synchronously across the globe, we create these portals which look like tall streams of light, which pull all of humanity through to higher realities. We notice the shifts in Mandela effects, but this is operational and intentional. Imagine that in one reality, a person might be an AI-infested, Illuminati-controlled clone. With the support of this reality-jumping light technology, we can jump all of humanity into a reality where that same person might actually be a starseed or awaken to a healing journey, which catalyzes major planetary shift from the ground up. This is only one small example. As I moved into meditation, I received a mandate. This mandate was being coded into the light tech, weaving into the womb portal of our mother planet as if we are shooting a vaccine and system upgrade into the collective consciousness. Total sovereignty of life upon Earth in all dimensions. Total obliteration of child and sex trafficking. Total obliteration of transhumanism timelines. Total obliteration of slavery, domination, and control. The total apocalypse of all hidden information from humanity, and total lucidity for all of humanity. When I came out of this irreverent commune with the lake, Lisa and I went to soak in the hot tub as the sun was setting. I felt the presence of innumerable light ships giggling and swishing in the sky, playing with the light of our consciousness. Then a parade came through and musicians were singing. People put flowers all over the property, and it turned out that we had arrived on the day of the festival of the goddess. Lisa and I weren't sure if we would stay here for 1 or 2 nights, so we only booked the room for 1. When the morning came, my spleen received directions from Spirit, and we were to leave the hostel immediately. I informed Lisa that in order to stay in the stream of synchronicity, we had to get on the road as soon as possible. I told her that instead of taking tourist buses, we'll be traveling with the locals. At first, she was reluctant, but when I told her that if she was not coming with me right then, that I would have to go right now, she hurriedly came along. I told her that this energy of haste coming through me wasn't actually me, but the Spirit. I never knew why, but I have to be places at certain times, but I don't question it. I followed a hand-drawn map provided by the hostel to a local square in Copacabana where buses left for other cities. The bus ride was 3 hours to the Bolivian capital of La Paz, swirling around the mountain sides and chasing the edges of the lake. The country scenery of Bolivia took my breath away, and every moment I was so grateful to be alive in this body and to experience this grace. At a certain point, we came off the bus and crossed a body of water on a raft, while the bus itself crossed on a much larger raft. The energy of Bolivia was smooth, kind, and mystical. Compared to the New Age ayahuasca tourism town of Pisac, what I'm sensing in Bolivia is the same ancestral magic, yet sincere, authentic, and loving. There was a deep humility and happiness still in the hearts of the locals, as if the virus of colonization hadn't distorted their spirit as much. Soon we took a taxi to the ruins. It took us a while to find a car that would make the 1.5-hour trek, but soon we were on our way. It was almost nighttime, and I was excited to be in the car. I could hardly contain myself. Just as we were driving up to the gates of Tiwanaku, a giant green and purple comet ripped across the sky. It ripped across the entire sky for over 10 seconds, and our jaws were on the floor, arriving precisely at the right moment, like a wizard does. Already dark now, all we hoped for was a vacancy in one of the inns. The next morning, a small white dog found me familiar and led our way to the ruins. When we started towards the ancient rocks, a certain feeling came over me. I felt that I was escorting an important high priestess to these ancient temples back to her home and her remembrance. This being was Lisa. As I laid my hands on the ancient stones, I was immediately transported through my crown chakra into visions of a time unfurling and undulating. The ancient memories inside the stones took me to a time when the indigenous people of this place held sacred festive ceremonies of devotion and reverence to creation. I looked over at Lisa. Her eyes were teary. She was remembering something too. Having arrived in town on the festival of the goddess, it felt like the whole country was celebrating her return. She was here to retrieve something that belongs to her that she once had lost. Being quite focused on my role as protector and escort of Lisa on this mission, I almost forgot I had a task of my own. The open blue sky was calm and beautiful, and when we arrived at the main temple complex called Pumapunku, very quickly thunderclouds rolled in with a spiraling cold wind. The tornado-like wind blasted open a vortex inside the giant flat stones of the temple. My awareness flew into this vortex and again was taken outside of time, this time to witness the beautiful ceremonies that had once taken place on these very steps. What I'm about to share with you is extremely important. I write these words from my heart that these truths which I have witnessed breaks my heart. Yet in witnessing this beautiful magic that still exists just outside of time, that all of humanity have access to at any moment, this fills my heart back up with hope. Inside this tunnel of spiraling energy, I could feel my body cold and stiff below me, still standing on the steps of the temple. I could no longer open my physical eyes. The energy had taken me somewhere else. Stars were whirling and spiraling all around me, and I felt a great ecstasy and joy. It was nighttime. The sky was a great expansive canvas filled up with brilliant, sparkling stars. It was a time of new moon, and the whole city had gathered here, many traveling from far distances to participate in this evening celebrations. Gathered are a people awakened to their sacredness, grace, dignity, and power in the web of life. The technicians of the sacred, the ceremonialists, the priestesses, and shamans recognize their divine duty as gatekeepers of a powerful vortex, one which feeds and nourishes life upon this beautiful planet. They held an air of beauty, grace, sacredness, and reverence as the people basked in the presence of a holy energy, the energy of life, the energy of creativity, the energy of a clear and activated sexuality channeled through the whole vessel into the heart and soul and the body of the living planet. You see, these were rites of sacred sexuality. a concept that is difficult to even conceive through the layers of conditioning, trauma, distortion, and degradation of sexuality we as a humanity experience today. But as I go deeper into explaining this vision, it will become clear why and how we ended up here. I shift my awareness to the top of the temple where I see Lisa back in time. She was a leading priestess of the temple, recognized for her otherworldly origins, beauty, and wisdom. Within her heart held the codes for the magic of creation. Her body was a clear channel for cosmic energy. As she danced gracefully upon the altar, all could feel the brilliant, scintillating cosmic energy that rained down from the cosmos through her. In technicolors, I witnessed this energy come through her and all the dancers. This is only the beginning of the rite. I saw this temple in the sacral chakra of the earth, one of the major energy centers of the entire planet. Major ley lines spanning the entire planet were pumped full of this brilliant cosmic energy by these beautiful rituals. This gave energy and magic to all the realms of living beings upon the planet, an act of beauty and divine service. Soon the priests joined the dancers on the altar, full of honor and respect in their heart and soul. It is the greatest honor to serve the living divine mother planet and all of her creatures in this way, of arousing, playing, and amplifying her energy to nourish all of life. The priests join their sacred partner upon the altar and both breathe and express passionately through their dance and movements of their devotion, love, and reverence to all of divine creation. Their love for the perfect divine creation pour in and through each other, and in that love, they find an arousing thunder of ecstatic energy amplifying and drawing the cosmic energy down from the sky and into the earth. This is the energy of creation magic. As quickly as the tornado came, bringing me these visions, I came tumbling back into my body. I was cold and shivering, and it started to rain. I sensed a dramatic shift in the energy from an ecstatic reverie to a looming, shadowy nightmare. I looked around me and saw Lisa in her rain poncho. Her face was white, as if she'd just seen something extraordinary. I was too bewildered to talk to her about what I just witnessed, and we both started walking towards the ruins. When we walked by a certain spot, Lisa began to cry. I felt an intense energy lifting out of the rock, and what I saw then is truly deep alchemical fuel for my mission. I dreaded what I might see, but I knew I had to go back into the visions. I took a deep breath, affirmed my soul's divine connection to life, and closed my eyes. I was pulled into the vortex again out of time, yet I arrived into a different reality. At a time when the evil arrived on Earth and the interdimensional forces began to overtake the Earth's major energy portals. This force melded into viruses which infected the mind, viruses like greed, lust, and competition. These viruses were created to degrade the honor and divinity of humans so they could fulfill the evil's agenda. The evil came from a group of beings who served themselves, who severed themselves from the nourishment of love and source energy, who then realized that in order to survive, they needed another sort of energy. The most powerful of the reversal energies are perverted sexual energies and absolute terror. In my vision, I witnessed this evil cloud enter the minds and hearts of certain people. Then I saw the peak of this disaster, rituals of terror and sacrifice. The priestess that were once so revered and respected, I witnessed the sacrificial removal of their ovaries by priests possessed by the supernatural power. I gasped for air and was overtaken with fear and frenzy. The storm clouds danced above me as thunder and rain raged. I felt like I was unable to awaken from a terrifying nightmare. I knew there was more for me to take in. I knew seeing lucidly with my own eyes was what I was here to do. When the hunger for power and more loosh became even more insatiable for the invisible evil which controlled the men, the women were spared, and the new interdimensional controllers of the earth and humanity shifted their likings to children. They realized that the purity and innocence of children produced higher qualities of fear. These rituals are not human. They were not created by humans to satisfy humans. They were created by interdimensional demons who injected humans with fear, lust, and power to do their bidding. When the stones decided I've had enough, I returned to my body from my frenzied visions. To my surprise, the sky had cleared up, and now a brilliant blue sky radiated a kindness to us. I hadn't said much for the rest of the day as Lisa and I went to visit one last monument before heading back to our hotel. Sexual energy is the energy of creation channeled by and experienced through our 3D vessel. This is the most sacred and powerful of all energies, that is, it has the power to create and destroy. Humanity is a race of creator beings capable of harnessing and transforming this basic form of magic into any creation we inspire. Music, paintings, architecture, and stories, establishing a planetary resonance of peace and joy. How else to control powerful beings like these than to trick us into believing that we are not powerful at all, that we are powerless at the whims of the gods, that we are animals who are only capable of reproduction. Back at the hostel, I got to reflect on the planetary energy systems. Through perceiving the reality in different layers in macrocosm, microcosm, the humans living closer to the power centers are direct reflections of the health of the planetary chakras. Looking around, I saw impoverished and disempowered indigenous people living a life of poverty and strife. I saw that their sexual and emotional maturity to live life in accordance to the magic that once lived here was meager. None of this was their fault by any means. It's simply the current state of energetics on the planet that we are all participating in co-creating. It's not hard to project our minds into popular culture and see how our relationships with ourself, our relation with our reality and each other can be severely distorted and dysfunctional. Back at the sacred lake, Lake Titicaca, I danced. I journeyed into the lake and communed with the mer people there, and a giant spinning lotus flower lit up the whole lake as we danced this energy of joy, respect, reverence, reciprocity, and peace. We danced the mandate codes into the womb and prayed for this energy to move through the ley lines to reach the consciousness of all beings. We're remembering the sacred magic we once wielded as guardians and gatekeepers of this magnificent planet. And through this remembrance, we heal the fragmentation and trauma we collectively experience from interdimensional planetary trauma and regain our empowerment and dignity as a planetary species. Lisa is here. She says, do you realize it's exactly 1 year today since we arrived in Copacabana? That means that is the Festival of the Goddess today. Yes.